Well, hello. Most of you know I'm Doc Mac, and today we have a subject that's I don't think I've never done this one, but a lot of people are always asking me, well, what causes this and what causes that, and so I'm going to give you a general idea today of what hormones are involved. Now, there's a cascade. There's three phases to the hormones. The first phase has to do with the ovarian hormones. And then the second phase it cascades into the thyroid hormones. And then it cascades into the adrenal, the stress hormones. And so I want to go over today the symptoms that are related with each one of these hormones so you get a better idea of, what hormone's causing the crap. What's causing me to feel this way. And that way you get a better idea, and you can also then know what kind of tests you want to do for those hormones so that, just kind of get an idea where they're at. So the first thing that happens is, as soon as you start going to premenopause, you start not ovulating. And when you start missing ovulations, what ends up happening is your ovaries quit making progesterone and testosterone. Now, those are your fat burning hormones. And guess what? You can't burn fat without fat burning hormones, okay? And what ends up happening, estradiol, which is, the female hormone, is what makes us feminine, both men and women. That hormone becomes the dominant hormone. And when it becomes a dominant hormone, okay, you get a condition called estrogen dominance, all right? So the first thing that happens when you go into estrogen dominance is you are going to put on weight. We call it menopause 30, okay? Because you're in a constant fat storing state, right? When you're in a constant fat storing state, you just keep putting the weight on and putting the weight on and putting the weight on. And so that's the first symptom that you're going to see when you start going into, we'll call it, being hormonally challenged. Okay? First year, 30 pounds. I hear it all day. As you all know, I speak to over 50 women a week. 30 pounds first year, 20 the second year. That's just how it works, okay? That's the first symptom. That has to do with your ovarian hormones. I call them the ovarian hormones. Other people will call them the sex hormones, okay? They've got several different names, but in reality, to me, when you're talking about women, you're talking about the ovarian hormones. The other name is the gonadal hormones. And so that's the first symptom. You put some weight on, you better start looking for estrogen dominance. The second problem that happens, you get weight loss resistant, meaning you can't lose weight no matter what you do. You can, join a gym, you cut your calories, you can burn, you can do all kinds of different things, and it's just not going to happen. You're not going to lose any weight. And you can, the one thing that I'm telling you the truth here, as you know, talk to over 50 women a week. And I can't remember the last time I talked to a menopausal woman that actually could lose weight through exercise. I can't remember. I'm talking about, I've been doing this for decades. Of course, I don't remember things like I used to, but it's been a long time since I talked to a woman. Of course, now, most of the women that I talk to suffer from weight loss resistance. Okay. Now, I think exercise is an incredible help tool. I'm a big exerciser. I can't wait for the gyms over. It's the one thing that this pandemic's done to me is it's taken away my gym. And I want my gym back. It's the one only missing piece I have. Otherwise, I'm living a 10 life. So right now it's a 9 because the gym's not open. Okay. So that's your second symptom. Weight loss resistance has to do with the ovarian hormones. Many people call them the menopausal hormones too. The third condition is sleeping disorders. When you start going into estrogen dominance, you're losing your sleep hormone, progesterone. When you lose your sleep hormone, you can't sleep, okay? You can't sleep no matter what you do, okay? All the women I talk to, they used to sleep 7 to 8 hours, and now they're sleeping 4 to 5 hours, all right? So guess what? When you're sleeping, that's when your hormones are produced. That's when you lose the weight. So you can see how by not sleeping, you get yourself in big trouble, okay? The next thing happens, you start having stinking thinking. You start having negative thoughts. You start having, anxiety. And so we call it hormone-induced anxiety. And you're going to feel this when you're hormonally challenged. You're going to feel this when you wake up in the morning. It's kind of like you wake up in fear, like, and I mean it. I talk to dozens of women a week. They all seem to have this symptom when they have estrogen dominance. Okay? The next thing that happens, they start having hormonal-induced depression. Now, the difference between clinical depression and hormonal-induced depression is that clinical is every day, unrelenting, okay, just there, doesn't go away. Hormonal is when you have a bad day, when you feel low and emotional. It's just, just an occasional type thing. It's not an everyday type thing. The next thing we see in this first phase is a loss of interest in sex, a loss of interest in having fun. You lose your motivation for pleasure. You go into isolation. I hear it all the time. When you get down here really low on what we call the PE ratio, the progesterone estradiol ratio, you'll tell me, Doc, the only time I'm happy is when I got 4 walls, a locked door, and I'm left friggin' alone. I've talked to at least 3 women yesterday that said that they were all suffering from isolation. They just rather be alone. And so that's when you know that your ovarian hormones are in trouble. Okay. So that's first phase. First phase, weight gain. Second thing is you're going to not be able to take it off no matter what you do. Third thing is you're going to not be able to sleep well. Fourth thing, you're going to have anxiety, hormonal-induced anxiety, particularly in the mornings. Fifth thing, you're going to have a hormonal-induced depression where you just feel low, emotional. I talked to a woman today who, she just starts crying. It's random. That's what we're talking about here when we're talking about this depression, this hormonal-induced depression. The next thing is you lose your interest for sex. It's not so much sex that is, it's just motivation to have fun. That's the biggest thing I see. So those are all ovarian hormone symptoms. I'm being general, but that's what I hear all day long, every day. Now, what happens next is you cascade down into the thyroid hormones. And when you go into the thyroid hormones, you're going to have a whole different set of symptoms. The first symptom is you're going to have a marked loss of energy. Okay, that you just feel exhausted. Just procrastination becomes a habit because you just don't have the energy to do anything. The next thing that happens is your hair. Okay, you start thinning. Your hair starts becoming thin. Start losing quite a bit. You start noticing when you shower, you brush your hair, there's like big gob of hair there. Okay. The next thing that starts happening, your skin changes. Starts becoming dry, scaly, starts becoming crinkly, crepey. It ages. You look at the back of your hand. If you notice over the last year that some dramatic changes have happened to the skin, then you better start looking at your thyroid. And don't look for normal thyroid tests. Okay. You never want to think normal when you're thinking of your hormones. Because let me explain something about that before I go on here. Because this really bugs me, but I talk to women all day long. They say, well, my doctor says my thyroid's normal. Okay. Well, back in the day, let's say 2 generations ago, the high end of the TSH is the hormone that they look at for, deciding if you have hypothyroidism. It was 2.5. Now it's like 5.4. And the reason is, it's normal is 80% of the population. Okay. So we've been getting sicker and sicker and sicker because of that. Normal has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. And so what ends up happening is now normal is really what used to be considered hypothyroidism. So you always want to look at optimal. What's the optimal when it comes to your thyroid, not the normal. Okay, and I like to see a TSH about 1.5. You want to see the T4 above in the top 50 percentile. You want to see T3, which is the active hormone, in the top 25%. And you want to see your TPOs very low. So those are the 4 tests. And nowadays, especially with COVID going on, you better look at your reverse T3 because that's your stress causes reverse T3. And what ends up happening is your body produces reverse T3 and it starts blocking all the receptor sites. Okay, so the next thing that starts to happen is you start noticing that you start having an intolerance to heat and cold. It's got to be just the perfect temperature. If your husband's always going over to you and saying, "Wow, really, it's cold," type of thing, that means you're having a problem, so intolerance to your temperature, and so when you start seeing this intolerance, start thinking thyroid. Okay. The next thing is you'll have cold hands and cold feet. The cold hands and cold feet, you'll hear that again. From your spouse, you'll feel they'll say, "Man, your feet are cold." That kind of stuff. And so maybe you might not notice it, but other people will definitely notice it when you shake their hands and go, "Oh my gosh, your hands are very cold." Right. Another thing is you'll lose your eyebrows, the lateral edges. Okay. So, watch out for that too. Okay. So when the hormones cascade into the thyroid, and the thyroid becomes overburdened because now your ovarian hormones are all out of whack. And what's going to happen with the thyroid is you're going to have one, marked loss of energy. Two, you're going to end up having a problem with your hair. It's going to change. It could thin. It could actually go straight. It could go curly. Something goes on with the hair there. The next thing is their skin. It starts the acceleration of the aging of the skin starts to occur. You start having intolerance to heat and cold. You start having cold hands and cold feet, and you start noticing you're losing your eyebrows. And so those are the symptoms of the thyroid that we see pretty much on a daily basis. The thing about thyroid is many women that go into menopause end up with an autoimmune disease of the thyroid called Hashimoto's. We go in streaks. It seems like sometimes for months everybody tests positive, and then we got a few months where no one tests positive. I'm not quite sure why that happens, but you have to look at what's called the thyroid peroxidase enzyme antibodies. When they're released from the thyroid, that means your body is eating away your thyroid. Okay, so that's thyroid. Now it cascades down into your adrenal glands. They're your stress hormones. And the ones we're primarily concerned about is cortisol. Cortisol is supposed to be this nice curve. It's supposed to be high when you wake up in the morning. In fact, it's what wakes you up in the morning. It's what makes you have clarity. It's what makes you be alert. Okay, is the cortisol. And then as the day goes on, it should go down and down and down until it reaches the bottom, and that's when you can go to sleep because now you're tired, and now you can lie down and sleep. Now the problem with cortisol, it is your body's natural anti-inflammatory, and when you lose that, you're going to lose your Advil in essence. Okay, your natural Advil, and so. The first thing that we see when the stress hormones go is that you become irritable, aggravated, and angry about things that used to not make you irritable, aggravated, or angry. Okay. And so that's the first thing I see. I see, I'm told all the time. All the time that I'm hearing, I'm moody. You call it moody, but in reality, it's just you just can't handle. You can't handle, a little bit of extra stress. And so that's because your cortisol, your stress hormones aren't quite right. Okay. The second symptom we'll see with the adrenal glands is that you wake up in the morning and you have profuse pain. Your muscles hurt, your joints hurt, you feel old. You literally have to walk yourself on the wall to get yourself to the restroom. And that's, it just, you try to stand up and it just takes you a little while. Okay, that's because cortisol is your natural anti-inflammatory, and if it's not there, it's going to create you to have pain and stiffness and discomfort, and you're going to feel old and creepy. Okay. The next thing we see with the stress hormones is since cortisol didn't reach its height that it needs to have, then what ends up happening is you can't wait. You're groggy. You want to keep hitting the snooze button, and so that's part of the cortisol of being in trouble. Okay. Now you can always tell when someone has high cortisol levels with a visual diagnosis. They'll look square, like square bob. Okay, they'll be square. Their body will be square. When it's high, when cortisol's been high for quite a while, your body just forms more of a box type shape. And so, just remember that when you see somebody that's walking, you see, this the legs, and then all of a sudden there's this box on top. I think that person's been under a lot of stress. Now, what's going to happen after cortisol has been fatigued, okay, is going to be the three symptoms I just talked to you. And that's what I'm usually going to see, is I'm going to see you become irritable, aggravated, and angry about things that used to not make you irritable, aggravated, or angry. 2 is you're going to wake up in the morning, you're going to feel really old. You're going to feel like you can't get moving. And then 3 is you're not going to be able to wake up in the morning. Okay, so those are the different symptoms that are associated with the different hormones. It's good to know these, because for me, sometimes it's not the ovarian hormones. Sometimes it's the thyroid hormones. And then sometimes it's not the thyroid hormones, it's the adrenal hormones. And so I like to go through these different symptoms to find out, what's giving you the most problem. And then that gives me an idea where we need to start. Now, there's the 3 tests that you can find out which set of these hormones are giving you the problem. Is 1, a progesterone to estradiol ratio. There's only one way to check on your progesterone to estradiol ratio. It's through a salivary assay. You can get it from Amazon. Just Google estrogen dominance test kit. You can get it. It's very inexpensive. I think it's $60-something now. Okay, this test will give you that ratio, that PE ratio, which is, I think, every woman. I used to say every menopausal woman, but now I'm seeing so much estrogen dominance throughout all ages. So progesterone to estradiol ratio, estrogen dominance, salivary assay. Okay, you can get it on Amazon. I think it's $60-something. You take the test, you spit in the tube, you send it off. It's the same test that we used in our medical clinics for years and years and years. Okay, it used to be from the same company. And I think the Shark Tank's bought up. They got a company out there that's kind of beating everybody up. Okay, when it comes to thyroid, okay, there's 4 tests you need. Okay, you need to look at the TSH, you need to look at the free T4, you need to look at the free T3, and you need to look at TPO. With COVID, I'd recommend a reverse T3 to see how stressed out you are. Okay, so there'd be 5 tests. You can get these first 4 tests, the TSH, the free T4, the free T3, and the TPO from Amazon. Now, most doctors will only order the TSH. And the reason being is that that's the only thing that really counts when it comes to a treatment program. Doctors won't order tests if it doesn't change their treatment program. And when it comes to the thyroid, they only have one. It's levothyroxine. Okay, it's a Synthroid. It's the only treatment plan. Okay, if you have hypothyroidism, if you have hyper, the treatment is to destroy the thyroid through radiation or some other way. They can cut it out. But it's more, when we're looking at menopause, we're looking at more of a hypothyroid type of problem. Okay, so those 4 tests you can get from Amazon. You get a blood spot test from them. It's about twice as expensive as the PE ratio. It's an actual blood test that you take at home. You just prick your finger. It's a blood spot. I've used it hundreds of times. Incredible accuracy. And so that's a test you can get. You don't need a rec form anymore. You don't need a prescription anymore to get any lab tests. Okay, don't even need it for your hormones, most of them. The last test is the cortisol test. And again, you're supposed to have this nice little arc on your cortisol. And so you can get that. That's done. The only way you can do that is through saliva. You're going to take different tests throughout the day to find out how that's working. Okay. So that's it. So if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself there and ask me, and we can. I'll try to answer them for you. We still have some time today. I usually don't have any time. There's never any questions. You can always message me, okay, to review very quickly. Okay, I'm going to review very quickly. The ovarian hormones, the symptoms is menopause 30, first year, weight loss resistance, sleeping disorders, and hormonal-induced anxiety, hormonal-induced depression, loss of interest in sex and being social and just having fun. That is all the ovarian hormones. Thyroid, marked loss of energy, thinning of the hair, changes in the hair, changing in the skin, accelerated aging of the skin. Okay, intolerance to heat or cold. You got to be just the right temperature. Okay, and also you start having cold hands, cold feet, and you start losing the lateral edges of your eyebrows. when it comes to your stress hormones and your adrenal glands, okay, the first thing is going to be you're going to be irritable, aggravated, and angry about things that used to not make you irritable, aggravated, or angry. Okay. The second thing is you're going to wake up and you're going to feel old. You're going to have a lot of stiffness. You're going to have a lot of pain in the joints. You're going to have a hard time just getting in the upright position and posture. And the last thing is when you have a problem with your stress hormones, is you don't have any alertness. You're not awake. You're groggy. You just want to keep hitting the snooze button because it just it's not your hormone that wakes you is not there. One little quick Mac hack here to help out with your hormones. When you wake up in the morning, what turns on your daytime hormones is sun rays when they hit your retina. So go out, get some sun, let the sun rays hit your retina. So what that will do is two things. It will turn on the daytime hormones and turn off the nighttime hormones. We have this circadian cycle that goes with our hormones, and that's one easy way to help out your hormones. Okay. All righty. Well, God bless you all. I will be back here next Wednesday with some new stuff. As you all know, I'm retired. I practiced 35 years. For the last 5 years, I've been a virtual coach. I did this because my wife tricked me into getting into this, keep me busy so she can go back to work. She didn't like retirement. But this is my passion. Yeah, I've been doing this for 40 years. I've never done anything else. It's got to be my God-given purpose. It better be, okay? Because I've never done anything else but help women lose weight. 40 years, and now for the last 15, help menopausal women. So anytime you ever want to talk to me, you can always talk to me. There's all kinds of places on Facebook and Instagram where you can click and set up a free appointment with me. And this is all I do all day, and I love it. Mm-hmm. And so just give me a ring whenever you want to. Just schedule. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to take off here. Bye-bye. You make it a great day and go enjoy this incredible weather. At least we're having it here. I'm loving it. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome.